this GameDev Business Handbook special episode of the Bithell Games Podcast. I'm Alexander Slawinski.
And I am somehow still Mike Bithell.
Each week we talk games, what it's like to make games, and the random stuff we don't generally find time to talk about because we're playing and or making games. And here you thought we were done with surprise announcements.
Could we be done now, though? Could we take a little break?
No promises.
Oh.
We are joined by Michael Futter this week, however.
Why, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Futter.
Hello. It's good to see you. Hear you both. See you both? I see Mike.
Well, you can see me.
I can.
I won't do a Skype call if there's not video option. I won't do it.
Oh, all right. I'd turn mine on, but I'm so afraid of, the internet doing the thing. The bad thing.
The internet does like to do scary things, in fairness.
You two done yet?
No, I thought we'd kind of carry on for about 45 minutes to an hour. That was all right.
This is modern-day Seinfeld. This is the show about nothing.
My.
Good. Yeah, this is the podcast where we try and record the podcast. I'm going to cut you off every time you start talking, Alexander. This is our thing.
Why? Anyway, here we go. Michael Futter is the author of the GameDev Business Handbook, available soon from Bithell Games, and we'll be talking about that on the show very shortly. However, show notes. Thank you to everyone who picked up Subsurface Circular this past week. Our new game is available right now on Steam. Special thanks to everyone who has told their friends about it.
Those are the coolest of people, right?
Yeah,
they are.
Or gifted copies. They're even cooler.
They are even cooler.
And all you lovely folks who left reviews, you're the coolest.
It's a very mathematically satisfying 256 at the moment. I do like my powers of 2. That's quite nice.
Did you ever even own a 256? I had a 386.
I didn't own terrible old computers, Alexander. I came in a little bit later than you, I think.
Oh, you had the Pentiums.
My first was a 386. It was a leading edge 386 with 8 megabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
8 whole megabytes, man.
8 whole megabytes of RAM and 80 megabytes of hard drive space.
That is ridiculous, actually. But for that period, that is a ridiculous amount of hard drive space.
It was huge. It was an enormous hard drive for the time.
Yeah.
We played the heck out of some King's Quest V, I'll tell you that. Just the heck out of it. Anyway, yes, lovely folks who left reviews. You're awesome. And you've made the launch so much more successful than we could have imagined. If you're a new listener to the show, hi.
Hey.
You're jumping in right at the season finale. So cool. Hi.
But don't worry, this is the one that makes you want to go back and
Yeah, no, totally. This is the one where you see the King of the White Walkers right at the end, and it's what's he gonna do? Is he gonna bite Mike? We don't know.
See,
which of us is gonna die before the end?
For someone who's only watched the first season of Game of Thrones, you see him and you're like, what's wrong with that man's skin?
Anyway, there was a lot of pensive buildup leading to this point, but since you're here,
much like Game of Thrones, in fairness.
Very true. Although it is going fast now.
Too fast, I think. Too fast.
It's going fast. Anyway, if you're here, our new announcement, GameDev Business Handbook. And now we're just gonna talk about that for a bit because Futter's here and he worked really hard on it for almost a year. And we still have a little bit further to go. So let's cover the basics. Futter, what is this book and why did we make it?
We looked around the landscape and realized that there wasn't a foundational text for people who are interested in starting their own studios, whether they're students or they're otherwise just starting out in game development. The books that we did find were relatively old. Before Steam, before mobile, before connected consoles, and we wanted to have something out there that gives people a place to start from. And the way we approached the book was, our guiding light was accessibility, making it easy to digest, but covering those topics that might otherwise not be covered elsewhere. So these aren't the topics that you're going to see necessarily at conferences because they're not super sexy. This is the mundane part of part of game development that that doesn't often get talked about, and it's necessary.
Folks listening to the show are painfully aware of, because I'm the one that brings it up.
So what we did was we figured out, all right, what are the key topics that we wanted to hit? What are the things that we absolutely think people need to know before or during their startup process of building their own studio? And the format we decided on was almost a chronological format. So we start with personal finance. It's an important thing. You need to get your own finances in order, because if you're going to be running a business and then hire employees who are going to be relying on you for your financial management abilities, or your ability to hire somebody who has financial management abilities, you want to make sure that you have your own house in order. So we walk people through personal finance, budgeting, building a studio, hiring, and then we kind of dive into, like, what does a production arc look like? And then we talk about things like intellectual property and crowdfunding, because a lot of smaller studios are going that route right now. It's still a thing, even though early access or crowdfunding has changed significantly since 2012. It's still a viable avenue. Early access is a growing avenue for people. So we hit all of these topics, and we knew that we couldn't do it in a vacuum.
Actually, you already named most of the chapters, so I'm going to fish them off for you.
Okay, go ahead.
But we also go into negotiation. We go into
don't.
work. Yeah, yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Is this a negotiation right now?
This is
a terrible negotiation.
This is well, I mean, the correct answer is no, you're not negotiating, you're arguing, which is, I'm doing a Monty Python bit. Wrong show for it, to be honest. Wrong show.
The best alternative to a negotiated agreement here is that the podcast just stops, though, and that's not a great alternative.
That's a really good point, actually.
So we also go into working with developers and publishing partners, working with licensed properties, which is, we're waiting for that to come back, aren't we? Like, that was definitely a thing for a good solid decade.
I think I'm definitely hearing, I mean, I don't think a lot of it's been announced, but I'm definitely hearing stories of other devs starting to do that. I mean, it cycles in whenever there's not quite so much money to be made directly. People start looking for, okay, how can we fund development? And one way of doing that is licensing. So yeah, more and more people I'm talking to are doing that stuff.
In that area, like, it's important to draw the distinction, and we do in the book, between working on a licensed game and doing work for hire projects.
Yeah.
And there's a very big difference, and we would encourage you to, in fact, read the book. Is
that where the fair use chapter is?
No. Nathan Vella actually talked a lot about this, because Cappy used to be a strictly work for hire studio, and he talks in the book about how they transitioned and how it was a hard process to transition from being a work for hire studio into a studio working on original IP.
Yeah, it's a treadmill. I know lots of people who've got caught up, because what you basically do is you end up having to do work for hire in order to kind of cover your bills. And you're always kind of hoping, well, if we put a little bit away, soon we can do our own thing. And then obviously you end up having to spend more and more, and therefore earn more and more, and you get caught in this treadmill that you can't escape from. But when people do, and that's one of my favorite bits of the book, actually, is I think Nathan Vella kind of lays out the story of how they managed it. And I think that's a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of developers who found themselves in that situation, is you can do as well as Cappy have done subsequently, by kind of crawling out of that loop, or frankly staying in it if you're happy doing it.
And as I look down the list of people we spoke with, the stories, I think what makes the book is the stories that we were able to get from more than 25 different professionals. I mean, Rami Ismail from Vlambeer, talked about how they approached early access, what they did right, and what he would not do again because it was taxing on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really eye-opening about, early access. There's a right way and a wrong way to do early access, and
sure.
Early access at its best, of course, is when you really are folding in all of that feedback from people who want to be on board early. And Vlambeer did an amazing job working on Nuclear Throne. But it was a regimented schedule, and he talks about what worked great in that and what didn't work so well. I really loved talking with Jordan Weissman from Harebrained Schemes, who created BattleTech and Shadowrun, and how those properties have actually been sold off and are owned by other people. And now he's come back through Kickstarter, Shadowrun Returns, and then BattleTech, which is currently in development, is going to be released by Paradox. Paradox is publishing that for early next year, and how he came back to work on those properties and what it meant to sell those IPs off and then come back to them, and how that worked. We talk a lot about when you're working with a port studio. Supergiant has worked in different ways with port studios for Bastion and Transistor, and I'm really proud of the cadre of attorneys that we had contribute to the book.
More lawyers than I ever like to see in one specific place.
There were a lot of lawyers.
I don't like them to cluster like that. That makes me uncomfortable. That's if you're looking across a room and you're seeing 5 lawyers, then something has gone very, very wrong.
Well, in this case, something has gone very, very right. Thankfully.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful.
Obviously law is different from region to region, and in the United States it's even different from state to state. But, we took a very universal approach, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. But we wanted to make sure that we gathered as much information as we could to highlight the key differences. This is a foundational level book. This is for people who are interested, who don't know the questions to ask it, who are trying to figure out what they don't know. And we approach this in a way where you walk away not just with the right questions to ask, but also the foundation level of information at the very least to kind of get started and have those conversations in a comfortable way.
It's been interesting to me because we you and I Futter. This is the problem with having 2 mics on the show. You and I did a presentation in the Carolinas, in front of newerish devs, and I've gone back to schools and I've talked a bunch, and one of the things that you find surprising when you go back and talk to schools is you walk into that room and you think that there's been all this training that's happened for them already, and you start talking to them at a much higher level, and the foundations aren't even covered, and that's definitely one of the things we certainly notice when we talk to folks, and that is helped in some game design programs where there's a lot of things that do get covered, but business is still one of those things.
To come in from the creative side of things, like on a lot of those game design courses, this stuff is touched on, but if you're like me at 21, you don't want to hear it necessarily. Like, you're much more interested in making, the water effect in your prototype look okay. Like, you're doing much bigger kind of creative decisions, which are more exciting and more sexy. And I think that's the thing that I'm most taken with when I'm doing stuff, because obviously when I go and talk, I generally go and talk to kind of game design students. And often people will come up to me and mention the podcast, this very podcast we're on right now, and be like, that's really cool that you talk about these things, because, I don't really care about them, but it comes up on the podcast and it's the first time I've thought about some of these issues. And I think the book kind of works really nicely in that way, that hopefully it is kind of something that you can buy, and then it sits on your shelf and you find the chapter you need when you need it, and it's to the point and it's not waffly or sloppy. It's just kind of, gets to where it's going. I think this is a book sort of, it's definitely for people who are interested, but I think it's actually even more useful to people who aren't that interested but know that they might find themselves needing some information at some point. And I think that's if it can hit both of those bases, then I think it's great.
I think one of the things that I hope draws people into the book is that we didn't sugarcoat anything. We had some very clear design principles when we started talking about this book. One was, it's not a get-rich-quick book. This is real information that people can use. This is not the promise of you're going to make $1 million overnight. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. It's not the purpose. But the other thing we wanted to do was be realistic with people, and that means that we're going to talk about a lot of successes, but the people we talked with were really kind enough to open up and share where things went wrong. We have some cautionary tales in the book. We have some examples of things not going quite right. And, some of those were direct stories where during our interview process where people are like, here are some things that went really wrong, and you should probably avoid them. There is one story in the book that is an anecdote that I will not reveal because it's one of my favorite pieces of the book, where someone just makes some big mistakes with regard to intellectual property. So we'll leave that.
Is this where the lawyer showed up?
This is where the lawyer showed up.
That's a story. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to us.
That happened to us.
Yeah, we were in a party.
I was there for that story.
You were.
I was. I believe I was laughing at the time. That is a good anecdote. There you go. That's a good teaser, Futter. That's a good, solid... Is that a chapter in the book? There should be a chapter in the book on creating teasers in podcasts that inspire people to buy your book or your game.
But I like how the last chapter of the book is also it's all anecdotes, all stories and anecdotes. So we the sort of closing chapters that I didn't mention earlier. There we talk about public and media relations. There's a chapter discussing crunch at a very high level. And then, the epilogue is it just from everyone that we talk to, either a little story or a couple paragraphs of what they've learned. It's just a really nice closer to things after going through, all of these core subjects and just speaking about them very matter of factly, I guess.
Yeah, it brings the people back into it, right?
Yeah, because it's what Futter said. This is not a get rich quick book. It is very much designed.
It's more of a survive for a very slow, long time book, isn't it?
It is, and that's kind of what we do, right? Like that's our
spiel.
That's our spiel.
I think what I like about that last chapter is it's every slightly drunk, awesome conversation I've had with a veteran game developer in a taxi after a party. Like
it's the pub conversation.
Well, it's every. I always because I'm boring. I'm always the guy who leaves the party like relatively early, and without fail there'll be someone else there and it usually is like an industry veteran who's now got like a family and responsibilities who gets in the cab with me to go back early, and I always get both of us have had a couple of drinks and there's a bit of a heart-to-heart there about don't make the same mistakes I did or do something slightly differently. I love that that's what that chapter is it feels, I swear I've had the conversations that some of those quotes cover and it's great, and it feels very intimate after a book that's much more kind of hopefully quite an accessible and straightforward book, to have something where you're reminded right at the end there of the people that actually do this.
So we spent a little bit of time putting together an FAQ for this, and thankfully here we are a little while after announcement, and it's a good thing we did that because
some of those Qs were FA'd, weren't they?
They were very FA'd. And it's a good thing that we hit those. So let's just bang through those now, because so you don't have to go to the website, but if you want to go to the website, it's GameDevBizBook.com. That's GameDevBizBook.com.
Sorry, what was that, Alexander?
It was GameDevBizBook.com.
That's good URL. And is that biz? Is it biz spelt with an S or a Z, Alexander?
With a Z.
Oh, okay, and it's all one word. GameDevBizBook.com. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah,
I've made a note. I've written down a bit of paper.
So Futter, the big thing we should probably tackle right up front is that this is up for pre-order right now. And why are we being jerks and making people pre-order something instead of just waiting until it's on sale?
Because we're going to get them printed. This is available in digital. There will be in October, but we're also doing a hardcover run, and in order for us to make sure that we order the right amount, we need to know how many to order. So pre-orders help us get that number right. And printing books is expensive, and we as much as my mom I'm sure will take 3 copies from me. We want to make sure that we're not sitting on stacks and stacks of them, or better, that we order enough to satisfy our demand.
And how much will the book cost?
The book will be $19.99 digitally, and
that's US dollars.
That's US dollars. Sorry, that's right. I forget. International audience. $19.99 US, and we are distributing directly via a website called Gumroad, which is well known in the publishing and teaching world. They have apps on iOS and Android. You can read the document on your desktop through their website, and the digital version that you'll get through there is a fully laid out PDF, essentially. So it looks exactly like what you're getting in the hardcover. As Alexander so deftly wrote, all you're missing out on is the sweet smell of a good book.
Sweet smell of a good book.
Can we guarantee that the book smells good? I wasn't comfortable with that.
I will spritz every single one with my cologne.
What kind of cologne do you use?
I got a sample from when I went to go pick up some shaving stuff, so it's like a sandalwood thing. You want some? This is really uncomfortable right now.
I'm just waiting for someone to send the book back to us and saying it doesn't smell like sandalwood. I want my money back.
Yeah, and you know what? They'd be justified. I would stand by that choice.
No, don't do that. Don't say why like that. But yeah, the book is currently, and I should be very specific about that because these costs are during this pre-sale period that we're doing right now.
We haven't talked about the hardcover cost yet, though.
So the hardcover cost is $29.99 plus the shipping cost. Now the shipping cost is $7 in the United States, and we are currently offering the book to be shipped also to Canada and the United Kingdom. And we will now preface this with a massive apology because the cost for that is it 17 Canada and 25?
Yeah, and 25 UK. And the reason why is because the books are going to be here. I'm going to be shipping them out. So we are exploring other solutions, absolutely, and looking for ways to bring that down because we recognize that it's really high. The thing about the hardcover version is that when you do pre-order the hardcover version directly through us, you will get a copy of the digital version as well, so that we will be able to distribute to you a digital version of the book.
Cool. Now we will be putting this on Amazon in the future after this sort of pre-sale period. And why should anyone buy through us instead of Amazon? Because I got my Amazon Prime and I love my Amazon Prime. So why would I buy through us instead of that?
Yeah. So I mean, first I want to be really clear, like the Amazon stuff, when we put it up there, we're going to have a Kindle version. The Kindle version won't be the same as the digital version through us because the Kindle version will be laid out and designed to take advantage of the Kindle Reader features, which means it'll be text with inline images as opposed to mirror the way the hardcover looks on the interior. And then, of course, we'll be selling the hardcover as well. But the reason to buy through us, if you're so inclined, is that you're supporting us more directly. We make a little bit more on every copy sold. Margins. It's about margins. Business concept. So
will that be covered in the book as well?
Costs of goods sold are,
Yep.
and in fact, margins on selling through distributors.
I would love it if our FAQ section was just you should read the book. That's all it said. Yeah, and that's and I think that's where I want to jump in a bit is that, you know, this is definitely not us trying to. I think I can say this. If we can't, this will all be cut. This is not a money making exercise in its purest form. Here, we're trying to make something that's a sustainable part of our business that lets us kind of do these kind of educational jobs. It costs money. It costs money to do, for sure. It costs money to, you know, make sure that Futter can eat and has a roof while he's doing all this, and to physically kind of get these things printed. There are lots of costs involved, But
because
for me,
Bithell has this awkward policy of everyone gets paid.
we're very old-fashioned in that way. Very old-fashioned in that way. We should have made Futter an intern. That would have been the way to do it. An unpaid intern.
Wow.
But no, I think it's really important to say that this is not a money-making exercise. My hope with this is that we make enough money with it that we cover the costs of it, and that we can then kind of keep doing things like this. I don't know what those things are. That'll be defined by kind of how much people care about it. But yeah, I think this is not us trying to grab your cash. This is us trying to prove that we can sustain something that maybe helps people a bit.
And the good thing is from the initial reaction, like, because we didn't know, right? We had no idea how this was going to go down before we announced it. And just from initial reaction, there's yay. Like,
we've sold more than 2 copies, which I'm very excited about.
And my mom and dad haven't even pre-ordered yet. Maybe they think
there you go, done.
Free signed copies. I don't know. I should probably do that. They, raised me.
Yeah, but you ended up working in the games industry, so did they do a very good job? I don't know. I think it's that's too cool a joke. Let's definitely cut that one out.
Hold on, did you just no? Did you just ask what my parents' Metacritic score is?
I heard your parents were so rubbish they only got 3 reviews and therefore don't have a Metascore.
Oh, I see what you did there.
So, Mr. Futter, when did you just snort?
I'm snort laughing. I apologize.
That is definitely staying in the show. Yeah. Snort, laugh, stay in the show. Definitely do not edit that out, Mr. Jonathan. So Futter, when will the GameDev Business Handbook be released?
We are releasing the digital version in October. The hardcover will be available before the end of the year, and I can't wait to get them into my hands, and I can't wait to put them into your hands.
Yeah, we definitely have to. We got to get them printed first. I can't wait. I can't wait to finally see this thing, because Mr. Bithell's doing the layout, and it is beautiful.
It really is.
Very kind.
Mike's doing an amazing job.
Mike started. Mike has a long road to walk down with that layout, but Mike started. That's the important thing.
There's so many moving pieces. Like, we are learning so much during this process. It's wonderful.
Of course, yeah. Massively so.
Yeah, no, you can get a little taste of what the inside of the book looks like by going to GameDevBizBook.com. That's GameDevBizBook.com. All right, we're done. We're done with this section. We're gonna come right back. Oh no! Wait, I actually did forget a couple things that we've seen come up on Twitter, so I should probably mention them now. If the shipping costs are too much, totally cool. We get it. Hopefully, we can get around to getting it to a price that you feel comfortable with at that time. And also, apologies to the Australians and everyone else who is contacting us to say, hey, why can't it be shipped to me? The only thing I can say at this time is the digital version is available to you globally, and we will continue to strive and work to get the physical book available in your area. This is something we are working on, and we'll get there. And now it's time for what's going on at the studio. And what is going on at the studio is we're going to let Mr. Bithell talk about Subsurface Circular.
Finally, I can talk about Subsurface Circular. Yes, it's going all right, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the reaction been?
It's been good. It's been good. We've got, I don't like to boast, you know me, but 97% Steam reviews, which is the bit that I'm most happy with. We've got some very good metrics behind the scenes that we'll be sharing, probably at DICE Europe. We're going to do they've invited us to do a talk about it there, so we'll probably cover some of those numbers down the road, but all, super cool. And we're selling really well as well. Like, it's all going well, which is nice. I think it might be a good game, Alexander. Imagine my surprise.
I mean, that seems to be what the reviews say, especially the review from Polygon.
They gave us a 9, didn't they?
Yeah, by Mr. Colin Campbell. That was really, really nice. It's going well. We also have very nice reviews from Video Gamer and some other outlets as well. So things are
I saw a new one go up today, actually. They gave us, I think it was an 8.5 we got today on one of the sites, can't remember which one. But yeah, it's going, from the critical reception, it's the best thing we've ever made. And sales wise, it's doing incredibly well. So I couldn't be happier. I think the big thing that I've been really impressed by here, and it's been awesome, has been that the audience itself has actually wanted to talk about the game. Yeah. And they've been very cool about it. Like, there's been a lot of sharing, lots of those reviews, lots of interesting chats on the forum for the game, all of these kind of things.
But we are being very cautious about what we're saying at this point. Like, it's too early to talk about how well things are going. We should probably talk about the strategy of launch, because the folks out there who listened to the podcast last week know that we just launched it.
We totally did, just launched it.
Yeah, we totally just launched it. And there's been a lot of questions of, like, why would we do that?
Well, I mean, I think actually, and it's funny because I think it was the day after we launched, I listened back to that episode of the podcast. And yeah, first of all, it's just funny hearing all the different review score responses I did. Those are great. I think I just want to do that from now on, is just pre-record like responses like that for any game we make, just so we're covered. But I think the other thing, was that there was clearly a lot of fear for me, I think, of making sure that we didn't misrepresent the game, that we didn't create hype that was kind of the wrong kind of hype or whatever. And that was the main reason for doing it just instantaneously, was just I didn't want you to have any preconceptions. I didn't want you to be looking forward to this game. I wanted you to find out about it and try it and have that instant kind of reaction, to what the game was. And judging from the reaction, like, I think that was the right play. I think everyone who saw this game and was interested were able to pick it up immediately, able to form an opinion immediately, and then share that opinion back with the community. So I feel really good about that. I think we probably, I mean, we'll never know, but we probably got a little bit less coverage than you would normally get, because obviously we weren't doing that. But I'm not seeing that as a negative in any of the numbers I'm looking at. Like, it seems to have been interesting enough to the right people who were into that kind of game that, it didn't necessarily suffer from not being that annoying game you heard about for 2 months before it came out. So it went well. I'm not sure. I don't know if we'll do it again. I think I'd like to. It's funny. We got the promotional T-shirts for the game delivered today, a week after launch. So like, we'll be wearing those at events and stuff. And it's like, I do like that we didn't have to do the whole press circuit. Doing that kind of press circuit stuff once the game's already out and we know what the game is. I can feel really confident kind of going and doing interviews and talking about the game, because not only do I know what we think of the game, I know what the community thinks of the game. I know what the game is. I don't think you really know what a game is until it's out and with players and you're seeing how they're playing it and how it's going. So I like this position of it's like time travel. I know how the launch went, so therefore I can now do the promo knowing what it is.
The feedback loop is astronomically fast compared to because people play the game.
Because it's a short game. Because it's short, right? Yeah, people play the game in one sitting or 2 sittings, and then they want to talk about it.
Yeah, the people play the game, finish the game, post a review of the game. And then I shouldn't be as surprised by this as I am, but people love the Bithell bot. They love the developer commentary. That's
the massive kind of character self-insert character. My little ego trip of a character. Yeah, that's fun.
But yeah, when you finish the game, the director's commentary unlocks through a tech that's on the train. And you get really deep on stuff. Like I don't think I got to see the script for that. before you put it in?
I try to keep you out of the creative loop as much as possible, Alexander. As a general rule. No, I did show you that. I did show you that. I think I sent it to you, but I think you were quite busy and you went, "Yep, I'm sure it's fine. Go for it." Which is a great deal of trust and very it indicates how much we trust each other in our working relationship. But it does. I guess it goes deep. I guess it's for me. It was just funny writing an interview with myself, like getting to ask myself because I know what the interesting stories about development are. I know what the interesting parts of the game are. I know what was interesting to work on. So therefore, I kind of am the best person to decide what questions to ask me. But yeah, I've seen journalists responding to it and quite liking it and finding it interesting. So yeah, cool. I'm pleased.
Anything else you want to add?
To be honest, this whole thing sounds far too self-congratulatory. So I think I'll quit while I'm not ahead.
If you have a burning question about games, game development, or just about the complexities of the universe, you can send those questions to us via contact@BithelGames.com. That's contact@BithelGames.com. We have a nice little stack because we're going to have a normal show again.
I was going to say, are we not doing any questions today? You're saving them. You're saving them.
No. I'm saving them, but we've got a nice stack.
People just had to listen to us promoting our stuff this episode. I feel bad. And this is the end of the season, right?
I mean, no, this isn't the end. Like, this is more like, this is episode 9 of like 11, right? Like,
okay. Oh, that's good. People aren't going to be waiting months to get their answer to their question about whether or not they should launch their game in early access.
No.
Okay, that's good. Because there's people because they can't wait. They need that information now, Alexander. Anyway, it's okay.
But yeah, so as Mr. Bithell just mentioned, I'm calling you Mr. Bithell because there's 2 mics on the show.
I like it though. I
don't like it. I should be giving you this level of reverence.
I think Mr. Bithell, parentheticals, and Alexander is how I want all emails addressed now.
No, as Mr. Bithell said, we are wrapping up this season, so we will be doing a couple more shows, and then I guess we'll move into the new format after that. But yes, the contact@BithelGames.com if you've got reader mail. Thanks for listening to this GameDev Business Handbook special of the Bithell Games Podcast. We can always use your support, so please provide reviews and 5 stars on iTunes, likes and subscribes on YouTube, and positive reinforcement on whatever other platforms you're hearing this show on whenever possible. We will be back next week with a totally normal episode. Or will we?
Is there such a thing as a totally normal episode of this show? I feel like that's optimistic.
We will. No, we will.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to be normal. It's going to be, heightened. It'll be heightened.
Heightened. Hyper real, this podcast. That's what it is.
But now you really don't know what to expect from us anymore, so it's fine. It's
probably announce a game. We're not going to announce a game. Please, no. We're not going to announce a game. Not for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Futter, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Did the book is the book going well? Are things going well?
Things are going great. Things are awesome.
I like the high-pitched ending to those sentences, which expressed kind of excitement and also an understanding of the long job ahead. It's good.
It is. It's going to be a long road.
It is.
But what's the website again, Mr. Futter?
GameDevBizBook.com.
With the B-I-Z.
With the B-I-Z.
B-I-Z.
Yeah, you know me. Sorry, I can't help myself. Carry on.
This podcast was produced by Jonathan Downen. We'll be back next week. I'm Alexander Slawinski. Thanks again, and get in the last word, Mike.
Icon.